one thing about the project itself, I don't think you really talk about this anywhere, but like the choice of license on the project. And again, neither of us are lawyers, so
Yeah.
don't don't get on our case about any specific points. But why? Because it seems to have two licenses attached to it: the
Yes.
Apache and MIT license.
Yes.
Why is there two licenses, and why those licenses in particular?
So I want my software to be used by everyone
Fair enough.
for any purpose you want. So, and this has been sort of actually comes from Rust community. It's just been popular solution in Rust community to dual license under MIT and Apache licenses. You pick whichever one you want. And as we agreed, we are not lawyers, and this is my understanding that this is the path to be the most compatible with all other open source and closed source licenses. That's why.
So your goal is basically just making it so people can actually use it, rather than, ensuring some free software perfection about the software where, it's everyone that uses it has to also be free software, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Actually, while we're actually down this route, what is like your general stance when it comes to like open source and free software? It clearly from this you're like more in favor of the open source side, but do you have a sort of position you stand on more generally?
So my thinking is, and this comes from working at relatively big companies. If you want your software to be used, the way to go is to use MIT or Apache license. If you're licensing under GPL, big companies will not touch it unless it's something that is extremely critical, like Linux kernel. Like those companies have explicit policies that, okay, if it's MIT or BSD or Apache, then you can use it, install on your computer, link to your software. If it's GPL, not really. And before release, and this is enough for internal stuff. For external stuff, there's usually, or rather stuff that is being released from within the company, there's going to be a legal review, and they will check if you're using something that uses GPL. And if it uses GPL, then it's probably not going to be released with GPL. So, like maybe it's your goal, so the corporations are not using your software. Then I would even just recommend using GPL. That's just, it's not my stance or politic, but this is the reality I observed.
Yeah, the Linux kernel was in like a weird position when it came along because, it was there to replace the proprietary Unix systems that were coming up, and the BSD world did exist, but it was this weird like mix of proprietary BSD, and then 386 BSD was there as well. And I we could just turn this into just me ranting about the early history of Linux, because this is one of the topics I really, really enjoy. And why the whole like GNU herd thing just didn't work, and why it should have been based on 386 BSD, but then they didn't end up wanting to do that and chucked away that entire project to wait on this mythical kernel that was never going to come around anyway. And then Linux came along before they even started the project, so no one cared about herd after that anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but just be aware that GPL license stuff has a sort of special position when it comes to licensing in corporations. So they're going to use it, they're going to contribute, but it has to be big enough. So they're going to use Linux kernel. They're going to have their own fork of GDB, which is also GPL license and stuff like this. But if it's something smaller, then a lawyer who is giving you a review is not going to probably give you a special exception for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if your goal is to make a license, to make a library, just don't even bother. Don't even bother with a GPL style license.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you how you should live your life. It just
Sure.
if you're maximum usage, then GPL probably not the solution.
Mm-hmm. So, what is your like background in programming? I don't just mean like your like corporate background. Like, when did you actually start like doing programming? Like, how did you actually get yourself interested in it?
Well, during my first programming lesson at university, I didn't program before going to university.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I hope it's not going to be a letdown. But I always used computers, but was not really interested in programming as such. I went into a computer science degree because I was broadly aware that you can have a good life if you have a computer science degree. Whatever you do, programming, security, databases, it's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Those were different times. That was oh wow, so long ago. Well, I'm not going to say, but long time ago. It's still I had understand that it's going to be great, and I was actually um, how do you say overwhelmed? Maybe not the best word, but I did not see myself as a possible programmer because my thinking was that programming extremely difficult. Every programmer has this sort of galactic brain, and the tools they are using are really high technology, and everyone is excellent. And I started programming, and what I realized that all the programming languages are old garbage from 30 years ago. Programmers, they cannot program a fizz bus. Um, so it doesn't matter if I'm bad at programming. It was extremely encouraging because I realized it doesn't matter if I'm really bad at programming. Other programmers are even worse. So my bad code is not going to make things worse on average. So yeah, let's start programming, and it was interesting. Uh, that's how I became a programmer.
Mm-hmm.
I actually found my passion for programming during when I was studying for computer science degree.
Mm-hmm. In that first programming class you did, what language were you actually working with?
My first programming lessons
Was it something
was
sense?
C.
Okay.
C.
Okay, it's a sensible language because I've heard some real weird answers from people before where it's like Objective C or just other random things that don't make any sense.